Welcome to today's episode of Cultural Currents. I'm your host, introducing a subject that is deeply profound yet often misunderstood: African traditional religion, commonly shortened as ATR. I'm thrilled to have with me Dr. Nia Johnson, an anthropologist who has spent years engaging with various African cultures. Dr. Johnson, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to dive into this important topic.
Let's set the stage. ATR is a real dynamic religion. It's not just folklore or cultural artifacts. How do we study ATR respectfully without distorting its essence?
That's a great starting point. The challenges can be quite significant. Many researchers, particularly those who could be described as traveler researchers, often visit for a brief time, perhaps just a week or two. They gather sensational stories, but those short visits lead to very superficial conclusions.
Right? And it's like trying to understand a novel by just reading the first chapter. What happens when these travelers return home with their dramatic tales?
Exactly. They create caricatures, oversimplified portrayals of complex beliefs and practices, comparable to a snapshot that misses the nuances of a rich tapestry. Moreover, we have the stay-at-home scholars, those who rely solely on second-hand accounts, books, or even documentaries.
This lays a weak foundation, doesn't it? What do you find is often the outcome of such studies?
They frequently miss context. Context is everything. Instead of a well-rounded understanding, we get distorted representations that can be disrespectful to the cultures involved. The result? Misunderstandings and stereotypes persist.
And that leads us to the dangers of misunderstanding religion as just culture. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. One of the key pitfalls is confusing religion with culture. Some may assume that everything labeled African is inherently religious, or they might dismiss ATR as mere cultural practices without acknowledging its spiritual depth.
Right? Like saying music is just entertainment when it can be deeply intertwined with faith. What are some other biases researchers might encounter?
Biased comparisons are another major issue. When scholars measure African beliefs against their own religious lenses, they're likely to dismiss differing practices. They might label something barbarous simply because it differs from their norms, rather than approaching it with an open mind.
So essentially, the frame of reference or lens through which one views these beliefs can drastically influence the interpretation.
Precisely. Additionally, there's the temptation to treat one locality as a representation of the whole continent. Africa is incredibly diverse. Generalization only furthers misunderstanding.
To address these issues, you suggested an inside-out approach. What does that mean?
It means researchers need to engage deeply. This includes mastering the local language to communicate effectively, establishing long-term presence, and most importantly, listening to elders, priests, and everyday practitioners. This fosters a better understanding.
And this brings us to the idea proposed by a notable Nigerian theologian, Ezricha Idowu, who called for studying ATR with both sympathy and critical honesty, right?
Yes, it's important that we approach ATR not with romanticism, but with serious theological engagement. Treating it as a living system means it deserves solid fieldwork and respect.
What an enlightening approach. Now let's pivot slightly. How do we define religion in a broader context? If we don't have a clear definition of religion, how can we recognize it in African contexts?
That's a critical question. Often, people mistakenly equate religion with outward rituals or established institutions, overlooking the inner, dynamic experience of faith. You can have people who claim to have a religion, but lack an active, shaping belief.
So what constitutes the core features of religion then?
We can define religion as a response to the sacred, something of ultimate concern that shapes one's understanding of reality. This includes beliefs, worship practices, moral demands, and personal commitment. Understanding religion as merely tradition or emotion diminishes its true complexity.
Interesting. So can we apply this framework to understand ATR more effectively?
Absolutely. ATR vividly expresses those ultimate concerns, such as the fear of offending God and ancestors, a longing for blessings, and a quest for security. It interweaves the sacred with everyday life, rejecting any rigid division between the religious and the secular.
It's enlightening to see how these frameworks enable a comprehensive view of ATR as a viable and profound belief system. So, what have we distilled from our conversation today?
We've learned that ATR is a vibrant religion that requires a nuanced, respectful approach and understanding. Its depth reveals its valid and vital role in the lives of its adherents. Also, defining religion more broadly opens channels to better appreciate ATR.
Well, that concludes our episode for today. We appreciate Dr. Johnson for sharing her insights. Join us next time as we tackle what is religion really? We will dive deeper into the term itself and explore how foundational concepts influence various belief systems, including ATR. Until next time, explore, inquire, and respect the diverse beliefs that shape our world.